Chapter 3, Deadly Fury. Stonebrim wasn't that far from Bowser's castle. As a matter of fact, it was only a mile away from the castle, so the walk to it did not take that long, 20 minutes at the most. However, a lot was accomplished in those 20 minutes, as the troopa explained what he knew to the rest of the Koopalings. The troopa was not handling the situation well. He was worried about what the Dupligos would do, and his nervousness clearly showed. Ludwig in particular felt sympathetic towards him. "We're almost to Stonebrim, guys," said Iggy. As he said it, the others could see the east gate in the distance. "Where do you think the Dupligos is most likely to be?" Wendy asked the Koopa Troopa. "I don't know," he responded with a frightened inflection, "but he would most likely be doing something terrible." "Okay, try to calm down," Morton said gently. "We'll fight him for you." "But how exactly are we going to fight a Duplighost?" asked Larry. "Very carefully," Ludwig replied. From beside him, Lemmy let out a soft, happy laugh. "I don't think you're going to have much of a problem with that, Ludwig," he said with a tone that sounded genuinely endearing. "After all, you're pretty much the best fighter there is." This statement really grinded on Ludwig's patience. He could feel the pyrokinesis starting to act up again. "Stop it, Lemmy. I know what you're doing." Lemmy looked surprised. "You do?" "Yes! You're trying to butter me up. It's not going to work." Lemmy let out a smile and giggled giddily. "Well, a lot of people butter other people up. It's a very effective method." Now Ludwig was beyond annoyed. He growled as the blue flame smothered his body. "There he is!" the Troopa shouted. He pointed across the way at another Koopa Troopa. He was facing a store window with a rock in hand and clear intent to destroy. "Are you sure?" Roy asked as he looked at the Koopa Troopa curiously. "Yeah, Roy, I think you would know what he looks like," said Iggy. The Koopa Troopa opened his mouth and projected his voice. "Hey!" The Duplighost turned. When he saw who his victim was accompanied by, he looked shocked. Then he put on a smile of joyous surprise. "Oh my word, it's the Koopalings!" Iggy stepped forward. He was wearing an authoritative and diplomatic expression. "Listen," he said in a placid tone, "you took something that belongs to this gentleman right here. Do you mind giving it back?" The Duplighost grinned sadistically and snapped his fingers. He started to glow, and so did the Troopa. The transparency of the Troopa turned back into flesh, and the opposite happened to the Snatcher. The Koopa Troopa examined his hands, his face bearing an expression of joy. "Yes!" He turned to the Koopalings. "Thank you guys so much!" "Don't mention it, bud," Roy said with a triumphant grin. He turned on his heel without noticing the Duplighost. A force field made out of dark energy surrounded the area, trapping all of them inside. Roy pounded on it, producing a ripple on its surface, but not much more. "What the world, Aid?" The Koopalings turned to the Duplighost, who was in his true form. He was draped in a milky white sheet. He had a mouth that looked like it belonged to an undead bear. And his eyes, they were frightening. They glowed red, an evil red. "I want to thank you, little Troopa," the Duplighost said smugly. "You brought me the very people who I was so desperate to meet." The Koopalings stared at their opponent in horror and shock. The Duplighost smiled, displaying his collection of teeth. "If the 7 of you wish to leave," he said, "you have to beat me in a fight." Upon hearing these words, Iggy's leadership skills kicked in. "Lemmy, Larry, protect the Koopa Troopa." He faced his foe with courage. "The rest of us will take care of the Duplighost." Roy charged. His face made contact with the Duplighost's face, causing it to contort in the most uncanny of ways. When it rearranged itself, he sneered at Roy and snapped his fingers at him. A wave of dark energy escaped from the trip, sending Roy flying back. Wendy and Morton got into their shells and circled the perimeter around the Duplighost. Despite the fact that he was dead, the Duplighost looked incredibly sick as he watched them. Wendy came out of her shell and threw her bracelet, causing the Duplighost to fly back. Morton reemerged and held the Duplighost above the ground. However, this did not faze the Koopaling's opponent. The red light in his eyes brightened, and a pair of black tentacles appeared from beneath its sheets. One grabbed Morton and flung him against the side of the black dome. Iggy decided that he had better take some action. He reached into his pack and pulled out an explosive of his design. He threw it at the Duplighost, causing the latter to be devoured by smoke. That was when the Duplighost decided to take the battle into the air. He faced Ludwig with a sneer. "Looks like it's just you and me, Special." Channeling all of his inner fury, Ludwig threw a plethora of fireballs at his opponent. A few hit the dome, others hit the ghost. None of them seemed to make that much of an impact. Ludwig formed a ball of electricity. When the Duplighost was hit, he was swung against the force field. Ludwig viewed this with a touch of satisfaction, but when the Duplighost opened his eyes, he let out a gasp. He fell to the ground when he was hit by the Duplighost's magic. "Enough of this," the Duplighost said as he floated down. He turned into a purple shadow of Ludwig and threw the ball of light at him. Ludwig squirmed and grunted as he tried to break free. "Ludwig!" Lemmy approached his brother, an action that drew concern out of Iggy. "Lemmy, get back!" "Finally!" the Duplighost exclaimed as he drew Ludwig closer. "I've been waiting for this day ever since I learned that there was a special Koopa. When I'm finished with you, I'll be the one pulling the strings." Even though Ludwig couldn't move, he could still feel. His anger was growing, taking him over. His electricity manipulating powers were doing the same. "No, you won't!" Ludwig let go of his emotions, and the electricity went nuts. Magical blasts made from both of their powers ricocheted around the dome. The Duplighost watched in horror, incapable of stopping the magic. And when a magical blast came flying at Lemmy, all the little Scoopling could do was watch in horror. When the blast made contact with him, an explosion occurred, pushing everyone back. When the light finally cleared, the Kooplings and the Koopa Troopa stood back up. The Kooplings rushed toward their brothers upon seeing them unconscious on the ground. They noticed the Duplicos getting up and got into their fighting stances. Surprisingly, the Duplicos teleported away, but not before delivering one last glare. Iggy started checking Lemmy and Ludwig's pulses. "Are they all right?" Wendy asked. Iggy breathed a sigh of relief upon Ludwig's pulse. "They're fine. They're just unconscious. I'll run a few tests when they wake up just to be safe." The Koopa Troopa rushed forward, looking jubilant. "Oh, I can't thank you guys enough!" he exclaimed. "Don't mention it," said Larry. Worry Morton picked up Lemmy and Ludwig. "I suggest we let them sleep in their room," said Iggy. "That way there won't be too much shock." The others agreed and started walking back to the castle. "Awesome!" Roy let out a happy laugh. "I can't believe it! We won!"